Hello and welcome to All Talk, the Geekbox Community Podcast. This is episode 54 for the week of February 11th, 2013. I am Dakazu from the forums, and who else is here?
Fox 8,
Manta 173,
Mr. X,
and Totoro.
Hey guys, we have someone new here. It's Manta.
Yep.
welcome.
Thanks for finally recording when I'm sitting at my computer.
Well, you know, usually you're like, oh, my wife is home, I gotta leave the Mumble server.
Well, you know, I do prefer my wife to you guys, so sorry.
That is a good answer.
Dare you?
Good for you. Your wife must be proud.
Yep, I think she is.
So, Manta, because this is your first time on the podcast, we should get to know you.
Okay, do you want me to start with a brief introduction then?
Whatever you want to tell us, that's fine. You know, like, if you want to tell us about, like, how, if you've been listening to the Geekbox for a long time, you've been on the forum regular.
I've been on the forums for, I think, 2 years now, something like that. Started listening to the podcast a little bit before then. Just randomly searched for Nerd and Geek into iTunes, and it popped up.
Wow, so you're actually not, like, a fan. I think most of us here were fans of, like, the 1UP podcast and, like, GFW radio.
Yep.
I only started listening to podcasts about 2 years ago when I moved to where I'm at now because I have a 45-minute drive to work. So I needed something to keep me awake.
Yeah, that's when I did the majority of my podcast listening to. It's when I had to commute a long distance. So,
well, I guess a little bit about myself. I live in Alabama. I work in the polymer industry, so that's plastics.
Alabama? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, I live near Space Camp. This is where we develop missile technology and the space program rockets. So
I have Dolphin Internet. I don't know if you heard this.
It's true.
And
So that's
you know,
near
it's
the Huntsville area?
Yeah, the Huntsville area. I used to live in Huntsville, and then I moved to the opposite side of the state to where my wife lives. So that's the reason for the commute.
I see. Do you want to, like, I don't know if you want to talk about your job. You have an interesting job, but I don't know if you want to mention it here.
That's fine. I do applications development. I work for a company who competes against Teflon. So if you guys have ever heard of Teflon or non-stick coatings, that's our bread and butter. So I try to come up with new ideas, new things to coat, new things to make out of our products.
Have you tried coating keyboards?
I keep telling them to try that. I really want to give Razer a call because
That's
we have
a
this
really
great
good idea,
anti-fingerprint stuff.
That one's free.
Like, keyboards are, like, nasty. Like,
Yeah.
I know.
They're really gross.
The only concern I have with our product is it's so slippery, you might not be able to type properly.
Or maybe mouse pads, because I know some mice, like mine, won't work on glass, so you need a mouse pad or mousing surface. Well, that might be too slippery also.
Slippery.
Well,
like,
if you look at the bottom of some of the mice, the high-end mice, maybe not Logitech, but some of the other ones, that'll have little white pads. Those white pads are our product.
Cool.
I have a Razer mouse, but I don't think they use white pads.
I have Logitech.
It's white because of the way the plastic's made. You can't really dye it, so that's why they're normally white.
Don't you also do stuff with solar panels?
Yeah, that's the main part of my job is coating the back of solar panels. We've had this architectural coating out there for years. The Teflon product line is a fluorine-based product line, so it's a little different than your normal plastics, which are all hydrogen-based. And fluorine handles sunlight really well, and it handles chemicals really well. So it's perfect for outdoor and acid rain or sunlight-rich environments.
You were telling us something in the Mumble server. I don't know if you want to bring it up now about, like,
Sure.
the relative effectiveness of solar panels.
They're
It's kind of shocking.
Well, I've been working on solar panels for about 4 years now, and honestly, the only reason to use a solar panel is government pays you to put it on your house. I mean, if you live off the grid or far enough away where power is unreliable, then it's useful. But battery technology is not there yet, and solar panel technology is not there yet to make it any reasonable use for the home or for industrial scale even.
Is it just, like, not cost effective?
Cost is a big part of it, but with the batteries, you lose a lot of efficiency too, and the amount of batteries you would have to take. I mean, you'd have a warehouse full of batteries, and it wouldn't even power a neighborhood.
I thought they were supposed to be much more reliable, so this is kind of shocking.
Well, they work when the sun's out, and they work great when the sun's out, but the sun's only out for 8 hours a day or even less.
Right. Well, in Hawaii, there's a shit ton of them.
Well, Hawaii is great, and again, that goes with the off-the-grid if you don't have power plants nearby. But I live in the Tennessee Valley, and if you guys know your history about Great Depression, TVA, we've got lots of nuclear power, we've got lots of hydroelectric power, so power is dirt cheap here. It'll be decades or more before solar panels are even close to competitive.
What about around the world, though?
That's again, Africa is a great place for solar panels because you can literally, buy a solar panel and a satellite connection and a laptop, and you can power a school. And I think that's a great project for it.
That's awesome.
So it works great in that regard, but again, it doesn't compete against industrialized nations' power grids.
So it just sounds like the batteries are like the big issue. Because
batteries are
the
a
sun's
big
fine,
part,
but
yeah.
when it's not the sun, you can't really retain any energy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some problems with the way they're built and reliability issues right now, but in general, as long as you're buying anything that's remotely close to a name brand, you don't have to worry about it, and everything's certified in the U.S. It's outside the U.S. that sometimes there's some issues. I'm actually on the standards committee for all of that, so I get to sit and argue with a bunch of other people who like to sit and argue.
Oh man, that job sounds super boring. I'm
well,
sorry.
Then the next conference I have is in Denver in 2 weeks, so I could go skiing if I wanted to. And then the one after that is in Jamaica in May. So
Whoa.
I'm going to the beach.
Yeah, don't you travel all over the place?
Yeah, last year it was Italy, then it was Frankfurt, then Oslo, then Osaka. And that was all within about a month and a half.
What?
Yeah.
That's
like
crazy.
September, I'm pretty much gone.
You racked those freaking flyer miles.
Yeah, I got platinum status last year, so I was proud of that.
Wait, so do you get to fly first class?
No, well, it depends on who's on the plane. But the Huntsville area, unfortunately, everybody does a lot of traveling because it's a lot of military contracts and that kind of thing. So normally, going into and coming out of, everybody else has the points too.
Man, that makes that. I don't know if you guys also travel a lot, the rest of you, but the difference between economy and business is like fucking night and day. It is insane, the quality.
Well, even if you get on the plane, you usually walk through the high class ones to get to the back, and you get to see it at least for like a few seconds. So you're like, "Wow, those chairs look really nice. I can't wait to sit down." Oh wait, those aren't my chairs.
Yeah, well, they just cram you in like a bunch of canned sardines, like in a normal economy, but
they do, it really sucks. Sorry,
I've only flown a few times.
I fly generally a few times a year now. That's probably going to be my routine for the next few years.
But never far, right? Like you haven't done like a 12-hour flight?
Oh no, never. I don't know that I could.
I've only done 8-hour flights, which is to Chile.
That's still pretty long. But,
yes, it's pretty long, but it's not like a whole day, which some flights are.
When I was growing up, I'm sorry, Manta. When I was growing up, I took flights every summer to Japan from upstate New York. It's because all my relatives are over there. Really? It's fucking long.
Well, I've gone on longer ones. Shanghai and Sydney and Australia's just takes forever.
Oh god.
Go Sydney to LA.
I'm excited though. They added a Dallas to I think Brisbane flight connection. I think I'm going to try to get on next year.
That was a lost reference, Totoro.
I know.
I didn't know that actually.
I think I'm the only one that caught it.
Yeah.
Nope, I didn't get it.
The longest flight that I've ever been on was, I don't even know how long the flight was, but it was initially only supposed to be 2 hours. But essentially what happened was we flew out of Indianapolis going to Florida for spring break. Was going with my family. And for whatever reason, when we got there, it was night. And the lighting on the runway at the airport was out, so we couldn't land. And then what wound up happening, we started circling the airport, waiting for them to
fix the light. That's
fix the
fucking
lights.
dangerous as hell.
They should have done what they did in Die Hard 2 and had a big trail of fire showing people where to land.
That would have been awesome. So I think we circled for hours. I'm wanting to say we circled for, it seemed like 6 hours. So, I mean, 2 hours
That
down
is
there.
really fucking long.
Maybe it's I don't know. I'll probably get something back from, like, my brother saying, "No, you asshole." It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours, but
It was 10 minutes. You're just really
was 10
impatient.
minutes, you prick. Yeah, well, in my 12-year-old mind, it seemed like it was for fucking ever.
I flew from Milwaukee to Florida before.
That's probably about the same. Probably roughly the same time as 2.5 hours, I would imagine.
It seems like that flight isn't really long. It seems like it takes longer to get off the plane and get all your
That's
stuff.
true sometimes.
Have you guys?
But yeah,
Sorry.
what wound up? I was just gonna finish. What wound up happening was we were flying into South Florida, Southwest Florida, and wound up getting diverted up to Orlando, and landed in Orlando, and then drove to where we were going from there. It was kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh,
That
and the drive
sounds
was a
like
bunch of hours as
fun.
well.
It was, yeah, my parents were thrilled.
Did the airline at least give you guys money or something?
I don't know. Well, I think what they were initially going to do was they were going to put everyone up in a hotel, and then they were going to drive us down by bus the following morning. And pretty much we landed. My dad said, and as is his way, pretty much said, "Fuck that noise," and we just rented a car. He's like, I'm not spending 2.5 hours on probably longer. I'm not spending several hours on a bus with a bunch of people that I just spent all this time circling the goddamn airport at, and driving riding on a bus down to where we were going.
And who likes riding on a bus?
I've done it once, and it was painful.
Wait, you've rode a bus once?
I've only a long distance bus, from Port Authority in New York
okay.
to upstate New York where I live.
I meant school buses and stuff too.
No. I mean actually taking the bus on a trip,
like a Greyhound or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But getting back to flying for just 1 second, did you guys ever get sick on a plane?
No,
Once.
I've been close to sick, but never actually sick.
My
No,
ears
you know what?
always pop or unpop and then get stuck or whatever.
Yeah, that's part of...
So
When
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I feel like this is Totoro's travel story time. When I was younger, I would get motion sick a lot. And I only got sick on a plane once, but we had especially turbulent descent to the airport, and I got sick then. And what made it worse, I felt so terrible. I still feel terrible this day, but I didn't really know. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that I was about to get sick at the time, and I didn't get to the sick bag.
Yeah, I didn't get to the sick bag multiple times because when I used to throw up every plane ride when I was.
Oh, that sucks.
And do you know what it was? It wasn't turbulence. It wasn't motion sickness. It was the airplane food that they served. Something about the smell. I don't know if you guys have experienced this back in the 80s and 90s. Something about the airplane food that they served. It just smelled foul. And actually, more often than not, I would throw up as we're lining up to leave the plane because we'd walk past the service area and they still got the leftover food there, and just smelling that just made me shock at least more than once. And usually flight attendants would be like, "Oh, I can't believe you're throwing up after we've landed." I was like, "No shit."
There's something about the stale for me. There's something about the stale air and the smell of coffee at the same time that just does not. It didn't work for me when I was younger, and it works for me. I'm not as bad as I used to be, and then usually sometimes like when I would be at school and stuff, I would smell coffee, and it would be like an association.
Yeah, I don't know if they've changed it since, but have you guys moving on? Have you guys like driven like rode a Greyhound like I have? Because I had done it once.
I have. I used to take Megabus, which is way better than Greyhound, in my opinion. Pricing structure is pretty cool. But I used to take it from Akron to Chicago all the time because I did undergrad in Chicago and grad school in Akron. And it was dirt cheap. The pricing is basically first person on the bus pays $2 for their ticket. And the second person pays $4. And it goes all the way up to like $60-something. But still, that's cheaper than gas to drive. And it takes just the same amount of time. It's about a 6-hour drive, so it's borderline whether or not you want to fly or drive. And you don't really need a car in Chicago either. So,
but it's so time-consuming, the bus, and you're just sitting there. I don't know. I guess it's the same on the plane, but usually I just fall right asleep. I sleep a lot on the planes, so
I can't sleep.
I can't sleep on planes.
Yeah.
Why? Really?
I can't sleep sitting up.
Yeah, I'm 6'5" and 300 pounds. The seats are not comfortable.
No. Oh, yeah. Well, that would do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to it from taking such long flights to like Japan. Because like when you take a 13-hour flight, hey, guess what? You need to go to bed.
Yep, I understand. Still can't fall asleep on a 13-hour flight.
I think we should move on from this travel talk.
Okay.
No, let's start comparing prices on Orbis.
Okay.
Let's make this serious now.
Price match?
What's the one with William Shatner? Is it Orbis?
Priceline.
No,
Priceline.
Priceline.
That's what I was thinking.
Negotiator.
Now it's got the girl from Big Bang Theory.
Oh, the blonde one or one of the
Yep.
dirty ones?
It still has William Shatner, though, right?
He's like her dad or something.
That's what I thought.
What? Well, one of them a long time ago had Leonard Nimoy as well, and that's kind of funny.
Well, yeah, it was Priceline. They were doing like a competing thing with themselves, like
Was
two
it like,
different ways
that's
to do it
illogical.
or whatever.
Well, yeah, I guess that's all about traveling for now.
Well, what do you want to talk about, X? Because you want to move the
Trophy
topic.
contest.
Yes, we are still doing the trophy contest. Geekbox trophy contest for the month of February. Things are heating up as Cross continues to maintain his lead. But who's catching up on him?
One of the newbies, I think. That guy or...
No, the
Was it Zoo something?
Oh, the
Universe.
Yes. You know, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's kind of cool how, like, they mentioned the trophy contest on the big podcast, like Geekbox. It got, like, a bunch of newcomers to come in, but at the same time, that means that the regulars are going to get, like... are going to get creamed by these, like, ultra, like, trophy guys.
I don't know, Cross is killing it so far.
Yeah. I'm happy for Cross that he's representing. But...
I still think
it seems
Bob
we're
is gonna
fighting
win.
for, like, 3rd or 4th place.
Bob is
I'm in
secretly
5th
coming
right now.
up. Like, he was, like, way behind, and now he's, like, top 5, so...
Yeah, he's like 3, I think, or 4. I'm 5.
Yeah. On like the 2nd or 3rd day, I saw him playing WWE Legends or something like that. And I said, "Oh, okay. It seems he is serious about this."
Also,
Legends of WrestleMania, I think it was, or something like that.
doesn't Bob
Wrestling
work
Legends
from
something.
home, so he probably has access, while he's doing work at his office. He probably has time to, like, you know...
I don't know how
places
you
to-
can multitask playing a video game and working.
Well, maybe, I don't know what his work involves. Maybe he needs to have some downtime where he needs to wait.
But he's still down by a lot. Because Cross has, as of February 6th, Cross X Hunter had 231 points,
So much.
which is a lot.
It is!
And Bob, it was at 97.
So, Darfox, don't you have an issue? Isn't something going down?
No, not really. It's just that I feel like I'm letting Kento down a little bit because when he first started thinking about this, he just assumed that I was gonna win it because amongst us, I'm one of the bigger trophy horrors. But when the event actually started, Cross, like, Dark Horse out of nowhere is like winning it, and he got a bunch of newbies. I'm like way behind, right? I'm pretty sure I'm behind X.
Yeah, you're at 49. I'm at 80.
Yeah, so I'm way behind. And part of it is just this weird like paralysis I've had because like I have more than a few games I can play to get trophies, but I don't know which one to play, and it's hard for me to judge which one's like more efficient to like get trophies. So sometimes I don't end up playing. I just watch a movie or something just to not stress out.
You just need to play something. Doesn't matter what, as long as
No.
you're getting them trophies.
But what if I could play playing something else that gets more trophies?
Well, getting some trophies is better than getting no trophies.
I'm
Think
getting no
about it.
Got
trophies.
you there.
Yeah. Well, I did end up acquiring Prince of Persia something something something, which was the one that like I think it was supposed to be a tie-in to the Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a tie-in, but it was like a sequel to the Sands of Time trilogy. But
Yeah.
it came
John
after
Sands?
the reboot. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be somewhat similar to the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. Because the other one that came out was nothing like the Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
I like the 2008 Prince of Persia reboot better than all the other games.
I don't know if I like it better, but I do like the game. I got platinum on it, but that was in the past. So
Is
it
that
didn't
the
count for
game
the
that
trophy.
like you couldn't die?
Yeah. It's the one with Eliza or Aisha Keys. She grabs you when you fall.
I don't know. I mean, it sure looked nice, like the cell shading, but I had some
But
problems
really-
with the mechanics.
You can't die in any game because you just instantly continue. And it
No,
just,
I mean that
this game
mechanic.
just had really good checkpointing.
Not fun.
I
Yeah,
don't
pretty
know
much.
about that. Like, I did like that mechanic, but I remember having to redo some of the trials over and over. Like, specifically the one where I forgot. Like, you go into different colored spheres and it activates powers or something. I forget. The one where you run across like walls.
Yeah,
There was
like
one-
The part in Prince of Persia where you run across walls.
No, where you're actually running up a wall and you just have to dodge like the different things that are in the way. I don't know, like how to
Yes.
describe it.
That game had it was basically like a quick time event feature, except that they weren't button prompts; they were platforms that were color coded to the buttons. And what you'd run over across these walls, and you had to reach these different platforms. And once you hit them, you had to hit the correct button to activate them. If not, you just fall.
I just remember that there was one that it took me like a good 30 minutes to complete. I felt like I was Arino from Game Center CX, just like fucking like plugging away at this. Oh, can't get it.
A lot of people's complaint about that game was that it was too easy, and you're complaining about it being too hard. It's kind of funny.
But it's just that specific sequence. And then I thought the combat was like alright, but then I didn't really care for it because it's
Well, there
like-
was hardly any combat in the game.
yeah, but even that combat that was there, I was like, why am I doing this? I just want to go on with the story.
But I really liked that game. I thought it was relaxing.
I can't argue with that, I guess. Except for that one sequence. Fuck that sequence.
Yep. So that's where
I
I'm
got
at.
my first platinum today.
Period or is contest?
Period. Ever.
Well, was it? Oh, Resistance Burning Skies.
Yep, on the Vita. That game is super easy trophies. You just get them all for basically completing the game, and there's a couple kind of grindy ones, but you get those just through the quest playing the game anyway.
When do you use your Vita most?
Like on my lunch break, mostly. It's like an hour a day or something.
Oh, okay.
I like it though. It's a cool piece of hardware.
Do you want to bring this up? Like, some people are like questioning whether like the Vita is a unfair advantage, but it seems like the way you guys were explaining it, there's not that many games that do the double trophy thing.
There's not,
There's like 4 games or something.
and you have to pay for the game, so it's not like
Unless
not
you
like
have
it's free
GameFly.
trophies. Well, yeah.
Can you explain it for the people listening? Like, just depth.
Like
So
the game Sound Shapes, you get trophies on one, and then you sync it to the cloud, and then you go on the PS3 and you sync, and then you get double trophies automatically. Just for you're doing it, you don't have to replay it. You just automatically get the trophies. So Sound Shapes has double the amount of trophies it should, and you don't have to play double to get them.
Yeah, but then like people decide that there's only like 4 games that does it, so it's not that
Well,
much of an
there's
advantage.
there's Sound Shapes.
MGS 2 and 3.
Yeah. I think that Motor Storm does it. Retro City Rampage, I want to say, does. But that game doesn't even have a platinum.
I thought all games are required to have platinums. It's not like
Not downloadable games.
No.
It has trophies, but no, not a platinum. Like Journey doesn't have a platinum.
Yep, it's the same difference in Xbox Live, though games that have 200 points as opposed to 1,000 points.
Yep. It's kind of a weird rule.
How many games have you guys platinumed, or I guess in like I don't know what you call it, the equivalent in Xbox?
Well, as far as platinuming, just the one, but I have gotten I think 1 or 2 on 360 where I got all 1,000. I can't remember what they were though. Well, I know one was the Avatar game.
Why? Because that was easy.
It takes literally 10 seconds to get all 1,000 points.
Yeah.
You just mash
Wow.
buttons, and because you just need to get up to like 1,000 hit combo, and it's super easy. You just mash button, and then the first fight, you get it.
I got 13 platinums.
I don't care about achievements or trophies, but there was one game that I noticed that I had done everything.
What game?
Take a wild guess.
Dark Souls or Demon Souls?
Nope. Those games are hard as fuck.
Street Fighter.
Keep
4.
thinking about what I like.
Street Fighter.
Company of Heroes.
That's a PC
No.
game. Come on.
Steam achievements.
Think. What is the game that I go gaga over? Come on.
Barbie Adventures.
Fuck you, don't. Really?
Spin.
See, now I don't know if you guys are just like trolling.
No, I
Chess.
really can't think of it at this moment. Besides Demon Souls and Street Fighter, what else? And Company of Heroes, what else drives you crazy?
Mass Effect.
Oh my gosh.
Metal Gear?
Yeah. No, he's not
Totoro.
Metal
No,
Gear.
Totoro's being quiet on purpose. I can tell.
Do you know Totoro?
Sure.
Doom.
I can't believe I need to say this. Borderlands.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I forgot that was even a console game.
Well, that's true.
Who
but
would play that on console?
the first
Me.
Borderlands, at least. That was before I had my gaming PC.
Evidently, Dakazu. That's true.
Mm-hmm. But that's like the only game where I noticed I'm like, oh, I've done everything in this game because I love this game.
So you did it unintentionally?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I wish I
whatever.
had unintentional plats.
So, do you guys have any other strategies for the rest of the month? Because
Play games?
February was pretty short. Like, it's going to be like halfway through by the time this podcast goes up.
Play games
Yeah.
for trophies.
And I'm gonna be busy the last week, so I might not be able to play that much last week.
Well, I can give one secret that I'm gonna do. I am renting Tekken Tag Tournament HD. It's on the Tekken Hybrid thing, and apparently you can get the platinum in that in like 2.5 hours.
Wait, do you have to like beat the AI on hard or anything like that? Cause
Yeah.
It's so... No, I can't do that. They're so hard.
No, there's guides. You just pick a character and you just mash the cheapest attack. The AI is dumb.
I know with Shaw Yu, I had this attack that takes like 3/4 of the guy's bar, but it's a really weird and awkward attack to use. But I just spammed that.
That works. Or you pick like Paul and you just do his dumb power punch.
I mean, it's Tekken.
But some
yeah,
of the trophies
really cool fighting game.
do require like a second person if you want to farm them quick, because it's like counter a counter, or parry a parry, or something like that, or escape a parry.
Wait a minute.
People.
Is Tekken Dark Fox's like preferred 3D fighter?
No, well, maybe. I know it's the one that I played a lot of. Like, the fighting games I've played a lot of is Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate, Tekken Tag, and Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Those are the best fighting game.
Dragon Ball Z.
Budokai 3 is amazing. That game was so good.
Sorry.
You're lucky Kevin isn't on here, because he would, like, yell your ears off.
Who cares what
yeah.
Kevin has to say? He's barely getting any trophies.
Yeah, whatever.
And
yeah,
before,
it's strange. Me and Kevin were, like, the ringers or whatever.
yeah, before everyone was like, "Oh, Kevin, he's gonna get all these trophies."
Well, especially
He's
Kevin,
gotten,
he was
like,
doing a lot
4
of shit talk.
trophies.
Oh man, I'm gonna get all the plats. I'm gonna get all the trophies.
How much has Jen gotten? Because she was kind of excited for it as well.
I think 12 trophies or points. Like
Okay.
points.
I think we should
And
move on.
I think Rodney, it was in the 20s.
I'm in the zeros.
Yep, you're tied for last.
Well, you have extenuating circumstances.
You don't have a PS3 that works.
No.
It's hard to get trophies without one of those.
Yes, this is true.
Manta, do you have a PS3?
I do, and I actually updated it the other day because I was debating playing Ni no Kuni, but I haven't turned it on since I
Oh
updated it.
man, I would love to ask you questions about that because I really want to get that. I have a gift card from Christmas for Best Buy, like $50, and it's burning a hole in my pocket. And I'm really considering getting that, but
You should take it out of your pocket if it's burning a hole in it.
It looks really good, but I haven't heard anybody talk about it who's played it more than like 15 hours. That seems to be the mark that everybody's talking about it at. And I want to know
hear-
what happens after that.
I hear that after 15 hours in, it suffers from JRPG syndrome, where you get sick of playing it.
That's what I was afraid of.
if I
That's what I
do
heard.
play Ni no Kuni, it'll be the first JRPG that I played in a long time.
You didn't play Final Fantasy 13 too?
I wish I played
I've
that.
I've told this story multiple times on the podcast about how I burned out on like RPGs in general after what happened. Remember my faulty memory card?
Yep.
For which game was it?
It was Final Fantasy VII, and then it was Final
Okay.
Fantasy VIII, and then I
What
said,
happened multiple times?
yeah.
Ouch.
Then I said screw Final Fantasy 9, and then 10 is the only Final Fantasy game I beat besides Final Fantasy 4.
I have never finished one.
I played a bunch of them.
Wow.
In Final Fantasy 7, I got to the crater and I never finished it.
That's the end of the game.
Yeah,
They
see,
had, like,
that's where my memory card died.
it's weird. Go ahead, Harry.
I actually watched somebody play 10 from beginning to end.
It's a cool game.
It was fun to watch, but I've never actually played one all the way through, at least a JRPG.
That game has the most annoying voice acting ever.
It does, especially if you go back and listen to it now. It's like, whoa, I thought this was good. Man.
There was
Titus is pretty bad.
There was this one conversation between
You mean
Titus
Meg Ryan?
and what's her name?
Rico, I'm pretty sure. The all-bed girl?
Yeah, the blonde girl.
Yes.
And she just kept saying at the end of every sentence, you know, and then he'd say, I know. And then she'd say something and go, you know, and he'd say, I know. I think that's when I quit playing.
That game has John DiMaggio as Waka.
Oh, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, it's him. If you go back and listen to him, you could tell it's him. If you're looking for his voice. It's
Bender?
Bender
Oh, you know.
with a weird voice. It's
Marcus
Bender with,
Phoenix?
like a Jamaican. We're gonna kill some sin, yeah?
That's Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War. In
Yeah.
case you didn't know. Also Jake from Adventure Time.
Yeah, he is a very good voice actor.
He's
Jake
a
from,
very
Alltalk?
prolific voice actor. Yep, Jake from Alltalk.
I think he's the new the Joker, or at least in one of the animated features.
In the Red Hood, he was.
Yes.
I did
and
not like him.
He was awful as the
Yeah.
Joker.
You
I
saw
think he
that
was
too?
alright. He was just way different.
I didn't like it. He was on an episode of the Doug Loves Movies podcast recently, and he was pretty good. He started just doing scenes from Blazing Saddles. It was great. And he explained how he came up with the voice of Bender. It was good.
I know it sounds weird, but I actually like it when you hear voice actors interviewed on podcasts. They always have interesting stories.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's not. Doug Loves Movies isn't the type of show that interviews people. It's like a game show.
I don't know why Manta
okay.
thinks that would be weird, because it sounds pretty good to me.
Well, you talk to a person who's not a nerd and you tell them, oh, I listened to this voice actor get interviewed, and, their eyes will roll over.
Well,
I hope that's not
actor.
your wife. Because I know my
maybe.
wife would be like totally cool with that. She'd be like, "Oh, that's cool."
Nolan North interviews are always great.
Well,
That-
doesn't it just sound like someone's talking to Nate Drake?
Yeah. Only it's with Nathan Drake then doing random impressions.
A lot of
Christopher
people
Walken.
don't. A lot of people don't like Nolan North. They say like his voice sounds too similar. Similar, but I don't really have a problem with him.
They say he has no range because everybody asks him to just do his normal voice, but when he does other voices in games, you can't tell it's him.
Yeah.
Like
It's
in
strange because,
Arkham
That-
City.
Yeah, when he played the Penguin, that was amazing.
What were you saying, Darfox?
I was saying that at one point he was never asked to do his own voice because he was known for being like a voice guy that could do different voices. They always asked him to do accents or do your Christopher Walker or something like that.
Who the hell's Christopher Walker?
Wait, is that Walken?
Yeah.
I was
Isn't
going
that
to let that go.
That's the guy from
Every
Thunderdome
movie.
and Mad Max.
What?
Walker.
Christopher Walken? Oh,
Walker.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
I didn't know he was Christopher Walken was in Thunderdome.
He's not, but there's a character in it named Walker. I think. Pretty sure it's Mel Gibson. Max
Well,
Walker.
Well, he would do those voices, but then when he did Uncharted, they just said, "Oh, just be yourself." They wanted to kind of create a leading man, and after that, everybody has asked him to do just like the regular Nolan North voice, and it's become like proliferated.
Yeah, he did that voice in the Prince of Persia game that we talked about earlier.
And Dark Void, I think as well, the game with the
Yep.
jetpack.
And he had a conversation with himself in Mafia 2.
Oh yeah, that was real funny.
My favorite thing he's done is Portal 2, obviously, though. Where he
Oh,
did
yeah,
like 5
he had
voices.
he's a bunch of personality seers.
And the defective turret.
That's pretty funny.
It's great.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's a good voice actor.
We
talking
are
about these
pro
voice actor
Nolan
stories?
North.
This also talking about Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. I bought the special edition when that came out, and it had like a video featurette about like all the Dragon Ball Z voice actors, but the English ones, and they told actually a lot of good stories. One of them was the voice actor for Goku was mentioning how he used to make fun of the Trunks voice actor because he passed out in the booth one time when he was screaming too much. but then he felt bad because he himself passed out when he was doing Super Saiyan Goku 4. he was doing like a Kamehameha or something, and he just yelled enough, and he didn't calculate how much air he was
Right.
pushing out, and he just blacked out. And they black out, they fall, and then they wake up immediately like, whoa, what the hell just happened? And it was
Only
it
in
was
Dragon
pretty
Ball
funny.
Z.
I think it
Yeah.
would be great if in Dragon Ball Z, when they were screaming like that, they would pass out.
Yeah, and the actual characters.
I wish
Kamehameha.
I wish Ransu was here because like he knows a lot about the fun, because those voice actors are the Funimation ones, and they
Yeah.
did a lot of the Borderlands voices too, like the girl who plays Lilith, and also Dr. Tannis, and also Captain Scarlet. She's like also in charge of like running the Funimation like casting. She's like their casting director too. So a lot of those voices get used for Borderlands too.
Has the guy who does Captain Ginyu done any voices in Borderlands?
No, but
This
the guy who played who's the was it Saturn or Satan? Or,
Mr. Satan.
Yeah, Mr. Satan plays Mr. Torg, and that's hilarious.
Is that only in part 1 or
No,
or,
that's in
only
the
part 2?
DLC, like the Thundered, the second DLC. It's all about Torg, and like you got a Macho Man type guy played by this guy.
I would like to play that.
I think we can.
You
move
know,
on.
Ashley Birch was nominated for voice acting for Borderlands 2 for a
Most-
BAFTA, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking?
Most racist voice.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't being racist. That's not a racist voice. It's not a racist character.
Yeah, was this on the forums or something? People complaining about Tiny Tina being
Twitter.
racist? On Twitter? People complaining about her being racist? And they made
Yeah.
a news story? Jeez.
I don't think she's racist.
I like Tiny Tina.
Okay. Yeah, because I haven't played the game, but apparently she's like a white girl talking like a lot of black slang or stuff like that. And people say, "Oh, that's racist," but whatever.
She didn't win, though.
Well, then why are we even talking about this loser?
I believe Lee Fenway won, and I believe they do a voice in the Walking Dead game. Might be Lee.
It might wait. What? Is it a girl?
No, well maybe, I don't know. Lee
It might be Clementine.
could be.
I'm Clementine.
Don't say
That's
that.
my Clementine impression.
I
was
think you've got some
terrible.
talent there.
That's
up,
what
Oh
it
man.
no,
sounds like.
the actor is the actor's name is Dave Fenney. It was Lee Everett's character, so it was the main character of the Walking Dead games.
It's well
Oh,
deserved.
okay. Yeah, he's alright.
I guess because I was just looking at Anthony Birch's Twitter and he called him Lee Fenney. I guess it was a joke
Right.
because Lee Everett and then the last name. Yeah,
That's what you get for getting your research off Twitter.
I go to the source,
The internet.
of course.
So, do we want to talk about any games or whatever this week? Or
I kind of wanted to hear more about Mass Effect 3 from Totoro and you.
Well, I think since I'm further than Dakazu,
I
don't
would
wanna
say
spoil it for 'em?
significantly further.
I'm about 24 hours in.
I'm only about 5 hours in.
Oh,
Jesus.
jeez.
Remember when
well,
Dakazu said he was going to be keeping up with you?
Okay, so this is what happened. I had a problem with my Xbox Live account. I would boom up my Xbox, I would sign into my account, and then be like, can't connect to Xbox. Like, what's going on? And like, I would
You need
run
to
the
update?
yeah, it was all updated. I ran the connection test. It connected fine, so I was like, I don't know what's going on. I was looking on the forums for the longest time, like throughout the week, trying to figure out what I could do to fix it, and resetting my router, opening up ports, things like that. I just couldn't do it. So I'd work on it for maybe 15 minutes, get fed up, and then just want to go play something else. So last night I finally tried downloading my profile, even though I have it, and that fixed it.
Weird.
I know, it was super weird and annoying.
So Totoro, how are you enjoying the game 24 hours in?
Pretty well. I mean, it's definitely. Yeah, I like the story quite a bit. I still think it plays pretty well. I like some of the things that they've done with, as far as like the weapons and things with like the mining and stuff where you don't have to like scan through everything. Although what the thing they did with the scanners, where if you kind of ping out, and if you ping out too much, the Reapers kind of like or detect that.
Yeah, I think they simplified the mining a little bit too much.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was, and I mean that was kind of one of those things that I like to be able to do, just to kind of like mindlessly, just to kind of farm for elements and stuff.
So I have a
take
question.
a break.
And this is I don't think this is spoilers, but so when you are I've only done like maybe 3 missions. What is a good time to do side quests? Like, should I just go do them now? Because I kind of want to. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like in Mass Effect 2 and the spoilers from Mass Effect 2. I don't believe you. I don't trust.
I think there's some time stuff, but normally they let you know, hey, you need to do this in a hurry.
Okay.
Like right now, I think I've got maybe about 5 or 6 main story missions that I have to complete after like where I'm at. Basically, I've not progressed the story much more than what I did, what I had done last week. But I've been going through today and just completely just trying to do a ton of the side missions, because I think what I want to do is go through those and experience all the interactions and everything, and then just go through the end of the game.
What do you think of the side, like how you obtain the side quests?
I mean, the way I've gotten most of them is just like through, hey, XYZ, through the comm stations, or not the comm station, like through the comm assistant, or through the emails that come in, or they just randomly give them to you. I know where you're talking about the things where like you're on the Citadel and you can kind of overhear things going on.
Yeah, they'll be like, I can't believe I lost this one-of-a-kind ancient relic on this planet. And then Shepard walks up, hey, I found this one-of-a-kind ancient relic, and I just happen to hear you talking about it. Here you go.
What a creeper.
It is weird.
Kind of creepy, yeah.
What about you, Manta? What do you play?
Well, I've been playing Skyrim for about 2 years now.
But it's only a year old. How'd you do that?
I'm magic.
Have you played Mass Effect 3?
Yeah, Mass Effect is the game series that I put more time into than any other game. I really enjoyed it. Even though some people don't like Mass Effect 3, I actually thought it was a great game.
I liked it.
I just wanted to bring up what you're playing, because every time we talk to you, it's like, hey, Manta, you want to play this? He's like, no, I'm playing Skyrim.
I think he only knows how to play one game.
I like Team Fortress 2, and I've been playing Ticket to Ride with you guys. It's just, I'm not interested in Company of Heroes. So, if you guys are playing that, I'll play Skyrim. I still haven't finished even half of the missions. I'm trying to finish off Dawn Guard right now so I can buy the new DLC that came out last week.
Is that Dragonborn?
Yeah.
Dawn Guard?
Dawn, as in a new day.
As in Don Francisco.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like his. Never mind.
I've been watching some Star Trek: The Next Generation. Last episode I watched had everyone on the crew start like de-evolving.
Oh my god!
I love that episode.
That episode is kind of really bad, but
That episode is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous in a good way. I think I have good memories of it because it's just so super weird.
I like that episode.
I've not seen most of those episodes in about 20 years.
Worf turned into this like armor-plated thing and started spitting acid on everyone.
I vaguely remember that.
Didn't he spit acid at like Troy's face before he turned into the monster?
No, he bit her, so she had this big giant scar on her face, and then he spit acid in
Beverly's?
the doctor. Beverly's.
Yeah, I remember that scene where she's kind of looking at his face and like, Worf, what's wrong? He just hoses her.
Yeah, then she freaks out because she has acid all over her face, and they're like, she needs to have reconstructive surgery.
Yeah, and I think Broccoli turned into like a spider.
Yeah, Broccoli turned into a spider.
Wait, Broccoli?
Yeah.
Wait,
isn't that what you call him?
Why the hell did Broccoli turn into a spider? He's human.
It was because the reasoning was that like most of the life forms from Earth have like a baseline genetic code that like they're all derived from in some form, so that a bunch of people start turning into like farm animals, basically, or something like that.
Deanna
What?
Troy turned into like an amphibian with like gills. Worf
Is
turned
she-
into like this armor-plated monster thing.
Yeah, and he
Um,
was the biggest threat, right? Like you really had to like hide from him
Yeah.
because he's going around like fucking people up.
Well, he you only really see him armor-plated at the end of the episode because he doesn't really show up again until the end. And Riker turned into a caveman.
So who saved the
So
day?
how is that different from anything else?
Right.
No, I want to know who
Um,
saved the day. Did Picard go like,
It was Picard and Data.
and they went all like Rambo? Picard went,
Well, they were out on a shuttle, so they weren't infected by. Well, Data wouldn't have been infected anyway, but
He turned to like a
Picard.
Macintosh computer.
Picard wasn't infected until he got back, and then Data was like, "Yeah, you're probably gonna turn into a lemur."
and what? Data saves the day.
Him and his cat has kittens, and then the kittens are still okay,
Spot.
but his cat turned into a lizard with a
Wait,
collar.
why the
Yeah, I remember
This
that.
episode sounds bad.
It was great. This is my favorite episode.
At least in season 7, because season 7 is kind of bad, or has more than one like really bad episode.
Well, the first episode was okay. It had lore in it.
Palmer.
Those are always some of the
No,
best
lower.
ones.
Not Laura. Lower.
Oh, Lore.
Speaking of Laura Palmer, we should pimp that real quick. All Talk Watches, The Stand. You can go to our
Yeah.
All Talk Watches feed on iTunes.
Dakazu, Laura Palmer isn't in the stand.
I know, but that we did our first All Talk Watches with the Twin Peaks. That was the transition.
Laura Palmer is not in Star Trek: The Next Generation either.
I hate you
I know.
guys. Because
She
you're
was in
such
Twin
trolls.
Peaks.
You're such dicks.
Fire walk with me.
Sometimes your arms burn backwards.
So when you get to the cellular peptide cake with mint frosting, let me know.
I already did.
Oh god, I love that episode. I fucking love that episode.
That episode was pretty good. Data was having dreams.
Yeah,
Was that the one that paralleled Worf's thing with his dad?
No, the Worf was just in the dream, just like eating cake, and then he was like,
Well,
"What
yeah,
kind of
it
cake
was-
is that?"
cellular peptide cake with mint frosting.
Yeah, because I recall an episode where Data had a dream, where he saw his crater, right?
Khan Noonien Singh.
Yeah, and
Or
he
Noonien Singh.
and he mentioned it to Worf, and Worf was like, "You had a powerful vision of your father," and I'm like, because Worf had his own like a conflict of. Well, actually, I don't remember. Yeah, he got a message from his dad. Supposedly, he survived the Kittimer massacre or whatever, and he was debating where to go rescue him.
He didn't get a message. Some guy showed up and was like, "Your dad's still alive." When
Okay.
they were on Deep Space Nine, DS9.
Oh, yeah.
They were docked there,
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember better now. Yep, that's Star Trek.
and then
X is almost at the end of it.
Data got shocked by some device that the doctor from DS9 had, and then that triggered the dream program that he has. I've watched Star Trek.
Yeah.
Sometime we should debate the whole genetically modified thing that Star Trek went through.
Wait, you mean as a species or on the mobile
Wait,
server?
are you talking about the con stuff?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about shoot, what's the name of the doctor on Deep Space Nine?
I haven't watched
Oh,
Deep Space Nine.
don't say that.
Oh, sorry. I assumed that was common
Spoilers.
knowledge.
Oh my god.
Well, it is, but it's if you haven't seen it, you don't know.
I apologize.
So they're all
No,
cons.
It's actually not a big thing. It becomes like part of the plot later on about something.
Everyone is
But whatever.
James Caan.
James Caan Jr.
Yep, James Caan Jr.
Okay.
We should talk about the Fast and Furious 6 trailer. The full-length 3-minute one.
It's like
Do we
the
have to?
short one, except more craziness.
It looks like maybe the best movie ever made. Maybe.
That's up for debate.
There's a plane. Did you see the plane?
They're wrangling it
There's a
down.
plane in Air Force One as well.
Well, this is a bigger plane. Maybe. They
Than
don't
the
drive a car out of
747.
the front of the plane in Air Force One.
But they could out of a 747.
They could. I think this is it looked like a cargo plane.
Yeah, it was like a big fat plane.
I think the A-Team driving a tank out of a plane was pretty awesome.
You know, the Fast and Furious movies are basically our A-Team movies now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or
I
superhero
can see
movies,
that.
and their superpower is cars.
Yeah, like if you could find them, they would help you. Fast and Furious guys.
All right. I think we need to go take a break before we do Movie Box. We'll be right back.
Cause I wrote it 10 times or more. It's about to be writ again. As I ask you to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the...
And we are back. We are back from our break and ready to talk about this week's Movie Box pick. Brought to us by Darfox.
Yep.
Darfox, what is this movie?
It's called A Waking Life. It's like this rotoscope indie-like film that I really, really like. It's one of my favorite movies, but it seems clear nobody here who watched it
Wait a minute.
or tried to watch it liked it.
What is rotoscoping? I know what it is. I'm just asking for people who don't know.
Rotoscoping is like this technique of animation where they basically trace over live action footage, and usually it creates like this surrealistic type animation, or sometimes like a really kind of fluid animation. But this movie uses it like for crazy shit, because sometimes it's very accurately traced, sometimes it's just like they basically color out the lines and they make the people like into caricatures or cartoon characters and make it really like wacky and
their
non-structured.
eyes kind of float off their head.
Yeah, the eyes really freak me out in this movie at the beginning because it looks like they're like on top of their like eyelids.
Yeah, in the very beginning, there's a shot of this kid looking into the sky, and the eyes are like completely floating outside of his head.
Yeah, you can see under the eyes. They're not. They are above. They are in front of the head. They're not on the head.
Yeah. No, I mean this movie does weirder things with people.
But what is this movie?
You mean like why was it made, or?
I can answer what this movie is.
Okay.
This movie is like My Dinner with Andre, but on acid.
This
I never seen My Dinner with Andre.
Okay, so My Dinner. So for those who don't know, My Dinner with Andre is this movie that is essentially just these two guys talking over dinner. One of them is Wallace Shawn, who played the Vizzini in The Princess Bride, but it's just these two guys talking about like all sorts of random shit throughout the whole movie.
Is the other guy Andre the Giant?
No, that would be awesome.
I would have been way more interested in seeing this movie if it was.
Yeah.
I have heard of that movie though.
So to be clear, Dakazu, Mr. X started watching it. They didn't finish it.
I
Or
got
whatever.
to the point where a dude was in the bar talking about how he shot some guy, and then he shot the bartender.
That's
and the
one of my
bartender
favorite
shot
parts
him.
in the movie. That made you quit the movie?
No, it just I was having a really hard time focusing on the movie.
Okay.
It wasn't grabbing my attention.
Darfox, I fell asleep the first attempt, like 20 minutes in. Second attempt, I powered through that part because it was so dry and so boring. I mean, it picked up a little when we got to the guy in the cell screaming about, I'll make you pay. Don't get me wrong. I think like the rotoscoping and the animation are very interesting. And very, like, they're cool. Except for the eyes. The eyes freak me out. It's just that all the subject matter, the talk about existentialism, everything else, it's just like, I don't care.
It's pretty pretentious.
Well, the thing is, they talk about everything. That's the thing about this movie. This movie doesn't have a specific agenda. They cover like everything. So
I don't care.
But to say you don't care is like saying you don't care about anything.
But they were saying like in the scene at the bar, they're like, that's why I always carry a gun. So it seems like it's all pro-gun, and then they shoot each other. So it's actually anti-gun.
You could interpret it that way. I definitely interpreted it that way the first time I saw it. But what I really liked about that scene was just the weird logic of them shooting each other. I've had dreams exactly like that, where something happens just because. And
yeah, completely illogically.
Yeah, and like flippantly, like, oh, okay, this person obviously is an intelligent human being, but he thought it was smart to pull the trigger while I was pointing it at this bartender he was speaking to. And then the bartender, almost not angrily at all, gets up, picks up the gun and shoots it at him, in retaliation. It's very, like, I guess, absurdist or something. But
Well,
like,
this movie, I guess, is just all kind of a dream, right?
yes, this movie, something Jeff Green said on Twitter one time when he saw Inception, and he said, "Oh, Inception, finally saw Inception, awesome movie, but it's still not the best movie about dreams. That'd be Waking Life." And I agree with him because Inception isn't really about dreams, but Waking Life definitely is about dreams. Like, you're
It's
watching
like
a movie about
a movie
dreams.
version of a dream.
It's like if a movie were a dream, it would be Waking Life.
Because the way it just flows and cuts to things randomly and just pieces, or like flashes of conversations and stuff, how it doesn't really make sense. It's like a dream.
And in that sense, that's why so the first time I saw this movie, I had the exact opposite reaction you guys did. It really drew me in because I was flipping channels and then I saw this roller scope movie, right? I saw it looked weird, so I just stayed on it for a little bit longer. And I ended up watching like the rest of the movie, and then I made sure to catch it the next time it was on, and I saw like the whole thing. And since then, I've seen it like maybe 3 or 4 more times. So for me, for whatever reason, it just like fascinates me.
Have you seen
Yeah.
A Scanner Darkly?
No, I have not, and I know it's by the same director.
It's also
And-
rotoscoped.
Yeah, like he uses a lot of the same techniques, and I have like a bunch of big actors, but I never seen it. It might be like the exact opposite of this movie,
I've
like the same
seen-
thing.
I think I've seen pieces of it. I don't think I've ever seen it all.
I have no idea if it's an actual plot, like if it's an actual.
I mean,
Maybe.
it's based on a Philip K. Dick either novel or story, so
Philip K. Dick gets a lot of airtime in this movie, at least towards the end.
yeah.
They could talk about it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Totoro, what did you think of this movie?
I sat down and watched this movie, and I think at the time when I started watching the movie, I was in a pretty shit mood, and my head just wasn't in it. I was kind of fighting the movie, I think, when I was watching it, and then I think about 20 minutes into it, I just like stopped and like went and took a shower, did something else for like 10 minutes, and then came back to it, and then like around the time that they started up with like the Ethan Hawke, Julie Delpy part where they're in bed and talking and stuff, that kind of changed it for me. So after that, I started liking it quite a bit more. It's a weird movie. I think that it accomplishes everything that it sets out to do, and just kind of be like an ethereal type experience.
I can definitely see this movie being super polarizing.
Yeah.
I can understand why someone would really like it, but I can also see why you would not.
Yeah, there were a couple times where I was watching, I was like, well, shit, I'm starting, like, because when they do some of the rotoscoping, they don't, you guys kind of alluded to it, where they don't, like, stick to the lines or anything. Well, but there are certain times where they really don't stick to the lines, and it's like, I'm starting to feel a little seasick here.
Yeah, like when like the tables are like floating.
A lot of things undulate throughout this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
like
I mean,
heads do.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of weird, but I don't know. I think that I don't know. I don't want to. I would say that I liked it. I don't know that I really liked it. I'm kind of like maybe a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean that's completely for whatever like your gut reaction was after seeing the movie. I think it's perfectly valid,
Yeah,
especially since you actually sat through the whole movie.
Yeah, I watched it. I finished it maybe about 20 or 30 minutes before we started recording, so it's still kind of fresh for me.
So would you agree with me that like the movie starts to get darker and darker as they start to acknowledge more of the death stuff?
Yeah, well, and even like, kind of at the end, like the last guy he talks to, that's actually Richard Linklater,
Yeah.
the director. So, and that one, that was hands down to me like the most interesting part of the movie for me.
It's honestly scary to me. Like the story he tells is honestly like pretty spooky.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely get that, but I mean, talking about because I mean, time is just just an interesting kind of construct in and of itself to think of in like a conceptual level. Just think about how time passes for people, and then how in the grand scheme of things, time can just be sort of this almost like over the for the how time can pass in the blink of an eye for an object like the Earth is however many billions of years old, like 5 billion years old.
Mhm.
So 100 years is nothing, whereas for us it's quite a long time. So I think if you start to get into some of the philosophy and some of the philosophical elements, and you really start to think about those, and you start to chew on them and try and digest them a little bit and do that, I think that you can tend to maybe try and get a little bit more out of the movie. But then by the same token, I almost feel, I'm not trying to say this as a dig, but I almost feel like it seems like if you will get out of the movie what you put into the movie.
I think that's kind of accurate, but my favorite thing I've seen or I've heard about this movie is said by Roger Ebert. I'm gonna read like one of the last sentences in his review. He says, "I have seen Waking Life 3 times now. I want to see it again, not to master it or even remember it better. I would not want to read the screenplay, but simply to experience all of these ideas, all of this passion, the very act of trying to figure these things out." And that's kind of where I am at the movie, where this movie like goes way over my head 90% of the time. Like, I know very little of the philosophies and of the science they're talking about, but seeing these people, and I'm sure 99% of the people on camera are, it's mostly improvisational. Like, they're actually just talking to the actor, actually just talking to the camera. It's not an actual script. And just seeing these people sort of express themselves, almost all these people are really passionate about what they're talking about. So it really is just experience. This is by far like the most experimental like film I feel passionate about. Because normally the movies I like are like Jackie Chan or Batman, where like it's about like, okay, the hero punches the bad guy and they get fucked up, you know.
Right. It's where it's definitely about like a thing happening, where it's a more of a linear sort of storytelling experience.
Yeah, and this movie is for me, as much as I like it, I can't really explain much about it except for the very basics of it. Why I like it, it's just fascinating every single time I sit down and watch it. I also like the performances. I like the way people talk in it. I like the things they say. It's very entertaining to me.
Are
Like,
Ethan Hawke and the other lady like the only actors, like well-known actors in this movie?
No, there's a few more.
At one point, Adam Goldberg and Nicky Cat are in it, and those are another couple guys who are in a lot of, I think, who are in some Richard Linklater movies.
But Dark Fox, you were saying it was all improvised. Was Ethan Hawke stuff improvised too, and like the whole conversation?
Probably not, because from what I understand, those are the same characters they played in another Richard Linklater movie, or very similar characters.
There's a sequel to that movie, right?
Before Sunset, yeah. I've watched both. Those are, sorry, not to take this off on a tangent. If you've never watched those movies, I don't know what it is about those movies, but they're both really, really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed them both.
I have not seen them.
It's probably one of those movies that you'll either like it or you'll hate it.
Seems to be this director's MO.
Yeah, maybe. I was gonna say Speed Levitch, I think that's his name. He was the guy who was on the bridge, and he was like,
that was cool.
He was really like crazy and like weird.
Is that the guy that set himself on fire?
No.
You probably
That's
didn't make
J.C.
it to this part.
Shakespeare. Yeah, you might not let me into this part, but he's like a voice actor, and he probably does other stuff. I know him from Stroker and Hoop, that not Adventure Time, that Adult Swim cartoon. Whatever, there's the Adult Swim cartoon. Like he does some voices. There's some other people that they probably do like maybe theater stuff. But also a lot of people are actual like philosophers or teachers or scientists that work in these fields that they're talking about. So non-actors. I feel like I've been talking mostly by myself. I guess any last thoughts by you guys?
This movie was weird.
Yep.
I have to say, I read the IMDb synopsis, and I was not interested. But after your guys' discussion, I'm a lot more interested in actually taking the time to see it.
It's a trap.
Yeah, so the thing is that, like, the movie just random conversations, but throughout the conversation, they sometimes drop hints as to what the movie's going to be about. For example, when it's Ethan Hawke and the dopey girl, I forget what her name is.
Julie Delpy.
Julie Delpy. She mentions about like the brain activity shuts down after like 15 minutes. Theoretically, those 15 minutes could be a whole life dreamt up. So, and that comes into play. And then Ethan Hawke talks about the morphogenetic field. He doesn't call it that, but it's basically the telepathic field where people could theoretically communicate with each other.
See,
and
that
share
was
ideas.
interesting to me because I played 999 and that came up in one of the puzzles. You remember that, Dark Fox?
Yes.
See,
Yes.
I think it's the first 20 minutes. I don't like the people in the first 20 minutes because it just immediately is like...
Well, the people in the first 20 minutes are usually just like teachers or philosophers, people just talking about these very specific dry things.
It's so dry. Like, but when you get to Ethan Hawke, it picks up a little, but it just didn't pick up enough for me. Like, I watched for another 15... I think I made it like 40 minutes into it, and I was like, no, I gotta turn this off.
Yeah, so after that, eventually you hear it's some lady on TV talking about death, the death after life. Theoretically, you could have a dream conscious after death. It's the same dream conscious you have when you dream, except this dream conscious you can't wake up from. And then from there, it starts to get more specific, and the main character starts to realize he's dreaming, and he starts to talk to. He basically has more agency. He doesn't just listen to people. He talks to them, and it becomes a conversation. And at the end, it leaves off with seemingly like he's dead because he kind of floats away at the end, and you never see him wake up. So who knows if he truly is dead? But he's most likely dead. The way it ends off.
Yeah, I don't particularly for me when they. I think that would have been like a better artistic choice for them to have left that ambiguous.
Well, they sort of did because they. Well, I don't know. It's hard to decide because you see him floating up, and you might interpret that as him floating up to heaven or something like that. Especially after he spoke to Richard Linklater, and he's talking about how all of your life is saying no to the internal question of do you want to be with God? You're just saying no, thank you, and then at one point you finally say yes. And right after you have that conversation, he finally floats up. But at the same time, you do see him float up in the very beginning. So who knows how symbolic him floating up is. I think it's possible that he could still be alive. He just wakes up right after you see him float up, you know? This movie could go on for like 5 more hours of him having more weird conversations, and then finally he wakes up, but who knows?
The whole movie could be the little kid's dream.
Sure.
It could be. I like the Quiddy catcher.
Right.
Yeah, I think I spent myself on this.
Yeah, I didn't know if anyone was gonna like. Do you guys dream a lot when you sleep, or
Sometimes.
I dream a lot, but I usually can't remember my dreams. I usually know I just had a dream, and it was weird, but I can't really remember it.
I'll usually wake up and I remember something very specific. If something really stood out to me, like that was strange, or like that was strange that happened. And usually sometimes I have dreams that take place in like the same setting. Like I have dreams that are very similar.
Do you have recurring dream characters?
Yes.
Yes.
And I have
Awesome.
recurring scenarios, which is, it's my last day of high school.
Oh my!
And I'm trying, and like, yeah. So and like, then there's a sequence of events that happens a lot, and it's usually telling me that like, I should probably go take care of this business or whatever. Like it happens when I'm in a certain mood.
Or when you're like putting something off, or you're in a stress about something.
Yeah, exactly. And I have that same recurring dream.
Super profundo on the early eve of your day.
yeah, exactly.
I have a terrible dream where I wake up. I mean, I'm in the dream and I wake up for the day, and like it's like the day of like some kind of performance,
And
I'm like, I'm not prepared at all.
You're
It's
in your
like,
underwear.
Fuck. Yeah, that dream.
Yeah, I used to have dreams, like even after I was done with, or not done with, after I had left school, left college, I would have dreams where I would be in class and like sitting down for like a final or something, and it's like it'd be like some off the wall class that I would never have taken.
Yeah, I have similar dreams. Not a lot, but I've had it more than once where, like I don't know my class schedule, and I'm at school. I'm like, where am I supposed to go? What the fuck? Like this isn't my first day, but for some reason I don't know what class I'm supposed to be at.
Something that happened to me kind of within the past 9 months or so, since I've as probably a lot of people know that I moved for a job and kind of moved away from my family, but I've had these really odd dreams where like where I'm out of sync on things with like my family and stuff, and it's because I'm pretty sure it's like my mind just kind of like coming to grips with shit as far as like having moved away from my family. And so I've had a lot of odd dreams like that over the past few months, or several months. Not so much in the past few months though.
Dreams.
Yeah.
They're weird.
You guys
Sometimes
ever
they're fun.
seen Nightmare on Elm Street?
I have.
That's about dreams.
I'm telling you, this movie gets kind of scary towards you, at least to me, maybe because I just think too much about it. But it's kind of scary. Like everything becomes ominous at the end of this movie.
Yeah, well, and you know, it gets existential.
Like for some reason, the scariest thing to me is when he's walking into the convenience store and this old man walks past him, and he says, as the patterns become more intricate and subtle, being swept along is no longer enough. And it's like specifically telling him like, you just can't sit by and listen to these people talk to you. You gotta talk back, or you gotta do something. If not, you're gonna go to hell, or you're gonna die, or something. At least that's the way like it felt to me every time I watch it.
Yep.
I think we should wrap up.
We should. So we're finally gonna get to Bob's movie box pick. Blah blah blah.
I think we should bump him again.
No, we should do his movie because his movie is good. It's Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Are you sure you don't want to watch Weekend at Bernie's instead?
That's the movie he asked for. Is Tucker and Dale?
Yeah, Tucker and Dale. It's good. I like
I've been
that
meaning
movie.
to watch that.
I think it's on Netflix. Has anyone else?
I'm pretty sure.
Who has seen it?
I have.
I have not.
Okay, then there's two of us that haven't seen it. Awesome. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
it's funny.
and it should be on Netflix streaming, like I said.
Yeah, I don't think the movie was ever really released in theaters. I think it was just like a direct-to-video thing, but I think it was meant to be, but then it got like shelved by the studio, and then they just kind of farted it out.
That's a shame because it's a good movie.
It is. It has Wash from Firefly.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk.
He's great.
Who's
He
he?
is.
The pilot?
Yeah.
He's Wash. He's great. I really like Alan Tudyk.
Mm-hmm. Good actor.
He's a very good actor. He was also Sonny in iRobot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Okay, Manta. Well, thanks for joining us on this podcast. I hope you had a good time.
Thanks for having me. I had fun.
So what do you think of podcasting?
It was fun. I thought there was more behind the scenes stuff, but it's pretty much hit record and go.
Pretty much.
Well,
it's like
afterwards,
being
afterwards, it's more stuff.
Whoa.
Well, there's also the extensive planning period of leading up to it,
I don't
where
like
we-
the fact that he's telling all of our secrets.
where we say, "What are we going to talk about?"
You
and
know-
then someone says, "I don't know. What are we going to talk about?" And then we panic, and then we come up with stuff.
I may need to bleep out all of this.
I
It's
did
like
watch an
inside
hour of
baseball.
Young Justice to prepare, and we didn't get to that. So
Oh, wait, did Dakazu know about that?
I did, but I totally forgot because we were going on for a while. And, you know, Manta's one of the people who's been, your podcast's too long.
Yeah, fucker.
You want to talk about Young Justice now?
Nah.
You can do it.
It's about the Teen Titans. And
We'll talk about it on another episode. Let's wrap
Could
it
be on
up.
an episode.
then they do the thing, and they're young, and they.
Thanks for
fight for
Manta173 for being on this episode.
American way.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please donate to the official Geekbox Mumble server. It's where we record the podcast and we hang out, play video games. Come join us. If you want to be on the podcast, just send us a tweet to our Twitter account, alltalk podcast. Or if you want, you can join the forums and send us a PM to Mr. X, Totoro, or me, Dakazu, on the Geekbox forums, forums.geekbox.net. Don't forget to email us questions, because we've never gotten one. Podcast at alltalkpodcast.com. And review us on iTunes, Zune, and Stitcher. Don't forget to listen to other podcasts, including the Geekbox, The Comic Conspiracy, Comedy Button, and Good Job Brain as well. That just about wraps it up. Oh, please make sure you subscribe to All Talk Watches to listen to All Talk Watches The Stand. Those episodes will be coming out in the next couple weeks. And I think that is everything. Thanks for listening. I love you.
Super profundo on the early view of your day.